Millions of people have heard the deep, pleasant voice of Johnny Cash singing his country music and sharing the experiences of life with his listeners, though about his terrific battle with the smoking habit and how he overcame it. Now you have an opportunity of listening to his personal testimony about the joy of being a non-smoker.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. If you don't think you can stop smoking, listen to me for a minute. I quit, and I haven't started back. I did it with a 5-day plan to stop smoking. You can do it too. This free plan is not a miracle treatment, but it sure makes it a lot easier to quit. Stop smoking now before it stops you. This is a community service of our friends, the Seventh-day Adventist.
John, just how many times have you quit smoking?
I must have quit smoking 1,000 times in the 25 years that I smoked. I gave it up, you know, for the last 3 or 4 years that I was smoking, I gave it up every other day. But I'd start back about the middle of the day or the evening, you know. It was a thing that was eating at me, and I knew it was destroying me. And there's something about a man that wants to live, you know, that'll fight back at something like that. But I just never did make a serious commitment until that one time.
What made you quit smoking at one time? Why'd you get serious?
John Carter was about 7 weeks old, our little son, and he was in Madison Hospital, and a friend of mine, Dr. Billy Burks, came in to visit us, and I was coughing my head off. I really had a serious hacking cough, you know, lung congestion and red throat and vocal cords always inflamed. And Billy said, he was one person that had the nerve to really say to me, and he said, "You need to quit smoking." And I said, you know, I was a little bit taken aback because I didn't know him all that well. But only thing I could reply was, "You're right." And he said, "Well, why don't you do it?" And that was another driving it home kind of a statement, you know. And it made me think, why don't I do it? Why don't I really do it? You know, there's my 7-week-old son laying there in an oxygen tent because he has a respiratory problem, a little cold, and they put him back in the hospital. And here I am staying up all night smoking in the same room with him. And you know, I had a feeling that was probably contributing to his problem. But Billy Burks made me face the fact that it was, you know, not only mine but John Carter's problem. So it gave me an added incentive to do it, to be able to do it for John Carter as well. And then Billy told me about a plan they had there at the hospital that would help me. The 5-day plan to stop smoking at the Madison Hospital. And I enrolled in that plan.
How did the 5 days? Have you smoked since you went the 5-day plan?
That was 7 years ago, and it's been about 6 years since I had even one cigarette. I never went back on cigarettes after I quit that time.
Do you ever want them? Do you ever have a desire
Occasionally. My work is a kind of a nerve-wracking thing at times, an emotional thing. And after a concert, sometimes I want one just for a minute, but I vanish the thought, and the craving never really eats at me anymore because I really have thoroughly got it whipped. God and I have.
Did you have much of a weight problem when you quit smoking?
No, I had the weight problem before that, really. I hadn't gained much weight since I quit smoking. No, that really doesn't have much to do with it, I don't think. You know, if you can quit smoking, you can quit eating too if you have to.
What about, what kind of advice you got for people who are smoking right now?
Well, you know, there's something built in every man that tells him when the self-destruct button has been pushed. And if you're smoking regularly, 2 or 3 packs a day like I was, or even 1 to 2 packs a day, then you're on a self-destruct course because it's a poison that one way or another that will really do you harm, if not soon, and in your latter years. I don't have to say that lung cancer among smokers is much, much higher than among non-smokers. There's emphysema, there's all types of respiratory problems.
Heart disease,
nerve disease, constriction of the smaller blood vessels. And everybody that's ever tried to quit smoking, one time maybe they quit for 2 or 3 days and then they just got to have it. They go back and take that one cigarette, you know, And if you remember what happens when you did that, you felt a tingling and a numbness all over, and maybe a little sick at the stomach. Well, you can get used to poison, you know. That's what it is. The nicotine, the tars of nicotine are constricting the small blood vessels. It's a tingling and a numbing sensation. And though you don't feel it when you're smoking regularly, it's happening to you. Your blood vessels are being constricted, and it can lead to hardening of the arteries and heart disease, heart trouble, a variety of things.
So I guess your advice is don't do it, right?
Don't do it for those reasons, for the medical reasons, but for your own self and for the God that is trying to live and direct your life. Don't do it, because you become a slave to nicotine. You literally, everybody that smokes knows that what I'm saying is true. You've got to admit it. You become a slave to nicotine. They used to call her Lady Nicotine. You remember reading articles back in the 20s and 30s? Yeah, I've seen movies made in the 30s. They'll say, have a little taste of Lady Nicotine's poison. Some guy in a prison or something offering another a cigarette. They called her Lady Nicotine because she was beautiful. She was, you know, like Lucifer himself. He was a master of deception. Nicotine deceives you because it's a comforting, pleasant feeling, you know, when you're smoking. Say, relax, sit back and have a cigarette. But deception, which Satan is the master at, always takes over in our carnal bodies, you know. And nicotine takes over. You become a slave to it. You've got to have it in your pocket when you leave the house. You know, you got to be sure you got your matches and your lighter. You panic if you don't. I know the feeling well. I smoked for 25 years. And for yourself, for your own esteem, for your own lifting up of your own spirit and pride in yourself, do it for that, for no other reason.
Thank you, John.
Johnny did it. You can do it. Join the majority and be a non-smoker. Johnny said, for your esteem, for your personal pride, and for the lifting of your spirits, stop smoking. Remember the challenge, I choose not to smoke. The next move rests with you. Kick the habit and be a real winner. This is a community service of your friends, the Seventh-day Adventists.